can't do this anymore. We have to go.
We can't do this anymore.
We can't do this.
We'll come back to this next week, I'm sure.
No, I will do everything in my power to forget.
Adrex,
Be surprised again.
Yes, sir.
you come back with a deer and a brace of hares and a wild chicken.
And 30 keyboards.
No,
Sorry,
stop it. Stop it.
Sorry, I'm
30 hairs,
Sorry.
just in case you need a spare.
I'm sorry. I'm so
Damn
sorry.
it. Windy.
Yeah.
When Adrex gets back, Meyer sets to work divvying up these portions, and you tell her, like, oh no, we're going to use this for our celebration. The water is clear, there's no more threat of poisoning, you have great heroes that are about to go take care of this swallower threat. We're earmarking this food for the celebration. And before she can argue with you, you tell her, these hares, this is for you, your job as pantry keeper. You kind of talk her up and puff her out a little bit. And she grumbles about it, but she grumbles approvingly. And she accepts the hares. And she accepts them in a way that you don't think she's going to split them up for the community.
No, absolutely not.
And then you have some of these hares and the deer and this wild chicken, and I'm assuming some pretty twigs that Adrex found and some flowers that caught his eye. And you set to
And
work
he describes the
preparing-
colors for me.
Except he doesn't say what colors they are. He just says, like, they're the really best colors. They make me feel really happy. This one's real sparkly.
Thank you, Adrex.
Red and Birdie. During this celebration, it's still a lot of tension in the air because there is this swallower threat looming overhead. But the word is getting out that you guys are, you've conferred with the prisoner, and he's coughed up a lot of really good intel that's going to help you guys sneak into the swallower base and destroy the threat from within. The warren is going to be okay. Adrex.
Yes, sir.
Describe this brawl that you start with people like 1/3 your size.
An Adrex brawl. I figure an Adrex brawl has got to be where he is absolutely boasting and bragging in a way that is totally, like, not true, and he just can't stop himself because he's so inebriated. And at one point, someone, like, starts to question the story he's telling, and that just leads to a shove, and that leads to an ankle bite, which leads to a kick, and then that leads to another ankle bite and someone getting a cheap shot in at his crotch, and it just goes from there.
I think part of it was just imagining Adrex going around the outside of the circle just flicking ears. So Red and Birdie, you wait on the sidelines for the opportune moment where one of the Zerich runs in for assistance in helping bring down this unruly Dragonborn. And you guys slip in. Birdie, you pop the door. No problem. Red, you lead the other Zerich away. And Birdie, you hand Whitesnake off to Raazu, who is waiting at the pit. Raazu, you pull him up onto your back. Grab hold of the rope and start lowering yourself down. And it's difficult going with this much weight. But you get him to the place where you've met with the pit watcher, who's not there right now. He's upstairs enjoying the festivities.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a small sack of provisions waiting there. Probably not to Whitesnake's particular taste, or the taste of his two hands, which are also snakes, because D&D has the dumbest monsters imaginable.
But it'll fill his belly, right?
And you direct him through the tunnels, where Pran told you it'll open up somewhere outside in the rocks, well away from paths that the rat folk tread.
And Raazu would bring up the options that Bapardi's laid before him, either Shallow Scale Lake or Birdie's Black Dragon Patron.
Well, he kind of brushes those options aside and sets up a place to rendezvous with you somewhere south of the swamp, where you can hand off this staff after you bring it out.
Alright, sounds good.
I mean, at the very least, we know he's not going to run away.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's not until the next day that anybody realizes he's gone. It's not until you guys are well away from the Warrens, so you don't have to deal with the immediate repercussions of this.
That sounds like us.
Red has a spike, Raazu has a spike, and Adrex is going to astrally project, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you guys going to approach the fortress? You have a couple options. You can go in from the river, you can come out through the lab, or you can go overland in the trail that Adrex staked out.
How, there were actually some pretty, alert patrols on the overland route, weren't there? Once you get above the city?
The rocks high above the city, at the top of the ravine where the fortress is built, are very barren. There's very little up there, but it's very open to the elements, and it's open to anything that can see down from inside. And it's not usually used as a route in or out of the city, but it is patrolled. Adrex did see some loose groups of Yuan-ti whose job it is to walk the perimeter of the top of that ravine.
How much cover is there if you were to try and get to the... is it reasonable to slip between them, or it's just too open?
It's quite a lot. In fact, it's about... I'm just going to do this real quick, because I don't have my actual thing open, but it's a big section of the center like this that's open to the sky above.
So I guess my question is, how far from one of the lips of this is the nearest cover we could hide in, a tree line or hills or anything like that? Or is this just open on the top?
It's just open on the top. So Adrex was not actually able to get right up on the ravine until the cover of darkness, where he slipped in between a couple of the patrols. So he actually approached from... This is upside down. So he approached from the south and came up to this corner here. From this position, with some stealth and a little bit of luck, you would be able to affix a rope and shimmy down onto the top of this barracks building.
Did we recharge the wand of water breathing in case we need to escape with it?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, we've had a long rest since then.
Okay.
With water available.
Yeah, the only way you don't get to recharge the wand is if you don't have access to naturally running water, which I don't think has ever happened ever in this campaign.
Underdark, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good call.
Yeah.
Of course, you didn't have much cause to use a wand of water breathing in the Underdark.
It's true.
Such is life in the zone.
So how are you guys going to approach?
Do you want
Here's the
to...
thing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so our choices are here and then the lab. Red peeked out of the lab, didn't he?
Yeah, the lab sits separate from the fortress, though.
Yes.
But it's on the same level down here underneath, though, isn't it?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's a little higher up. It's on a... It's just off the map up here. So there's a narrow switchback that goes down. And this whole section of wall lower than that is honeycombed with caves and passages, which is where most of the Yuan-ti make their homes, living space for the citizenry that aren't important enough or don't have a task specifically inside of the city.
We could see what became of the lab, since we did kind of leave it in a bit of a mess. If we wanted to go back through the river route.
Through the river?
You could also come back through the river and take a different tributary and literally just come up somewhere in inside the walls. The part there is you won't have a lot of control over where you come up or who's watching you do it.
I think coming down on the roof of this building would be the stealthiest option, especially if the roofs are... They don't particularly use the roofs for anything, do they? They're just normal roof spaces.
I didn't get a great look at him.
Yeah, they're not... Adrex didn't see any patrols on the roof, but then again, Adrex doesn't have dark vision, so his...
Yeah.
But from what Whitesnake told you, there'd be no real need to patrol the roofs.
If they've got the sentries up on the
Probably
top
not
of
the
the-
barracks, at least. Maybe some of the slave quarters would have archers stationed on top of them in case slaves misbehave. But there'd be really no need to put such guards on top of the barracks.
All right, if that's what you want to do, it sounds good to me.
So here's another option that I had thought of, and I mean we can split this because I mean we're not beholden to just approach from one angle here, and it might give you, Red, a little bit of freedom in the city to move about without having to worry about being stealthy if you're a welcome guest.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be to deliver some kind of tribute, such as a particularly valuable slave. And Raazu gestures to herself.
What, have you fight in the slave pits?
Or at least get me to the point where I could get in touch with these taskmasters.
Red, there's two
See if I can
problems with what
convince-
she's proposing.
Yeah.
First, she's a woman. Her only use to them is if they have male hobgoblins to breed her with.
Mm-hmm.
The second, Raazu is a big person, but she's not enormous like the other VIP taskmasters are. If you brought Raazu as tribute, it might get you inside. It might be a way to get the two of you inside the walls, but it's also very possible they will see this tribute as an insult. Or if not an insult, at least not worth very much.
Yeah. How physically different it's immediately obvious to them that I'm not a member of their tribe from my look, or
It is, but there's disguise kits available.
yeah. No,
You can make yourself look like them, yes.
I was gonna. Just wanted to make sure that I was right on that.
You are roboting a little bit.
Oh, yeah, probably my monitors between the US.
We're
That's
going to need you
offensive,
to adjust your surgical implant.
I'm completely okay with coming down from the top. Is Adrex, and remind me, Adrex is sitting currently at the bottom of the pit, astrally projecting?
He hasn't yet.
Okay.
The question mark on the astral projection route is he's not going to be totally sure how long this spell is going to last.
Okay.
The Pit Watcher has
Yeah.
mentioned sometimes it goes for a couple of hours, but he's been gone for weeks at a time as well. And he's not really sure what governs that.
And our real advantage with astral projection is you can take your armor off before you do it, or you can take off natural armor, right?
You can take off what?
Yeah,
Or you can take off the armor once he's projected. And it doesn't matter because it's his physical armor would still be there.
Yeah, pretty much. There's pros and cons to both of these routes.
So, can he astral project? He has to astral project from the bottom of the pit, right?
Yes, his body
Okay.
would be left in the pit.
So if we're going to go overland, he's the one who knows the route, so we should probably decide what we're doing right now. I'm completely okay with dropping down from above. I think we can hammer in a pit in quietly enough. Wendy can pull it out before she flies down. I think it's clean. It puts us in a nice quiet corner. Gives me an opportunity to observe the locals, get a feel for exactly how they speak, get a good look at them so I can disguise myself. I think coming in through the lab is, unless we actually want to risk another fight in the lab or get a better look at what happened in the lab after we left, is a little bit too risky.
Right? Adric,
Okay.
you can get them to that overland position,
Mhm.
since you know the way. Weather permitting, it'll take you 3 days. You'll get there evening on the third day.
Works for me.
Okay. You take Adrix down to the pit. Raazu and Red retrieve the 2 spikes they're going to take. And Adrix, leaving his in the ground, draws his palm across the sharp edge. And immediately his body just slumps forward and hits the ground. There's a loud thud as his head impacts the metal.
Someone should have held him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to need that.
And then you see him kind of stand up, like very wobbly. And he looks more or less the same, but as he stands up, his body is also still laying on the metal. And you
Raazu pokes
see
Adrix.
this strange... At first it looks like a piece of glowing twine that's catching the light, just the residual... I'm assuming you guys have your blue torch out.
Mm-hmm.
That catches the light in just strange way that just comes off of his back. And as he moves, you see this line kind of go taut and connects to his body on the ground. Birdie, make another Arcana check. Actually, you know, you rolled a 20 the first time, didn't you? You look back and forth between Raazu and Red. Raazu is holding onto her spike, and Red is stashing his in his pack. And you see this piece of twine, and you immediately know its significance. If the Yuan-ti have a way to sever this thread while Adrex is projecting, it's going to kill him. And looking at the spikes that they're carrying, if you see any of the Yuan-ti pull a weapon that looks like that, you should have alarm klaxons going off.
Like the spikes?
Either the spikes themselves, or you're pretty sure if you took one of your knives, you would not be able to sever this thread. But the fact that it is a thread, and they built a device to be allowed to do this, tells you that there was also someone who was incentivized to build a magical knife that could cut this thread.
Also, especially since like the two ruins, they're probably related.
Don't worry, he said GIF, not GIF. We're fine.
Adrex is making very weird, elaborate movements,
Okay.
and amusing himself as he looks at the projection of himself and looking at his actual real body on the ground. Look at me!
I'm
This
gonna
is
read.
wild!
I'm going to read specifically from the spell for Birdie's benefit, because I really like to make him as nervous as possible. If the
Congratulations.
cord is cut, your soul and body are separated, killing you instantly.
Like, I'm going to speak in very slow words to Adric and tell him that what I suspect is going on with that thing.
Okay.
And that if you see any weapons that look suspicious, and the cutting implements that look suspicious, be very careful and do not joke around. Just run.
Wendy moves Adrix's body's eyebrows on the ground and then brings his hands up to his mouth in a shocked expression.
Hey, Rick, I'm just going to point out, I was going to say it until that came up, but I've always house ruled that vorpal weapons can sever silver threads in addition to Githzeri swords. Just seems more fun that way.
I mean, it's possible. But do you really want to put the idea in my head to give my Yuan-ti guards
I already
weapons?
No,
Yeah,
yeah. Weapon if we kill one of them.
No, it'll cut its own head off.
It'll turn to
Birdie?
dust.
Birdie, are you really suggesting that I run away from a battle?
No, that would be a bad idea because the silver thread's coming from your back.
But here's the thing. You're not actually there. So, can you run away from something you're not actually at?
Oh, and now Adrex has a headache.
Adrian, you
Which
do
is
feel
pretty impressive because he doesn't have a head.
you do feel a sensation that reminds you of leaving your body and entering that red dragon.
Mm.
The difference here is there's nothing to enter into. You have like this floating sensation, even though all of the weight of you is still here. As Birdie is explaining what this tether is and that there might be ways to sever it, you do feel this disconnect, like input lag between you and the world.
You vomit. Just VR.
You need to put his head in a cage. As you guys travel away from the Warrens, and you're traveling overland, Red and Raazu, you notice the spikes become heavier and heavier the further away you get from the pit. It never gets to the point where they're too burdensome to carry, but you have to shift their weight a lot. And they never seem to reach a point where they're no longer getting heavier. It's like Xeno's arrow. It just gets closer and closer to too heavy to carry, but it never becomes quite so heavy that you're incentivized to drop this thing. How are you carrying them? Raazu, you go first.
Raazu has it kind of lashed to her backpack where she could easily grab it and use it if the need arise.
So you're strapping it to the side of your pack?
Yeah.
And how's Red carrying his?
At first, he would have probably put it inside his pack, but once it starts getting heavier, he'll actually take off all of his equipment, except for his just his plain clothes, and rig up a harness over one shoulder so that he can just carry it in the small of his back with just that on the leather strap.
And like wear your pack over top of it?
Yeah, including my cloak over top of it too.
Okay. Adrex, you bring them. Let's roll to see how bad the weather is. Adrex.
Yeah.
I need everybody except Adrex because he's astral projecting. Please make me a survival check.
Aw, but I'm good at those.
So I rolled a
Wisdom.
20 on the weather check.
Super good.
Oh, is it?
Super good weather.
It's super most. It's the most
It's
weather.
critical weather.
21.
18.
6? 7.
6? 7? How'd Windy do?
16.
16. Adrex leads you through this path through a tremendous storm that kicks up. And it's incredibly difficult going, especially for Birdie. Like the winds threaten to just bowl him over the side of these sharp cliffs from time to time. Windy, it's especially terrible for you because it feels like your head is swimming as you try to reach out to the winds to get your bearings, and the winds are just beating you from all sides. And you can almost swear that you feel snow in the air. It takes you 4 days to get to the place, to get to the top of the ravine, and Red, give yourself a level of exhaustion. And these are the conditions as you get to the top of this ravine. Just like the conditions outside Shadow Moses.
Oh my god.
Dude, I'm so glad I rolled that 20. The good news is, the Yuan-ti patrols that are here are basically a skeleton crew out in these conditions. So slipping past them or taking them unawares should be pretty easy. I think I said these were 20-foot squares on the map. This
Sounds like something you would
fairly
say.
sizable city. Yeah, 20 feet, each of these squares.
Is it possible to find shelter somewhere up in the hills and camp out for a night to get rid of the level of exhaustion?
Possibly. There's nowhere within eyeshot of the ravine to do that, and if you do that, you lose any element of surprise you could get because their patrol has been drawn back if the weather breaks. But yeah, you can backtrack.
I'm anticipating having to make a lot of ability checks, guys.
Like,
Red says.
Red, whatever do you mean?
You want to back off and wait a day?
Unless everybody else objects, yeah.
Yeah, if you're exhausted, we should
Yeah.
fix that.
The weather breaks partway through the night. Adrex, roll a d20.
Dun 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 dun. 4.
4. The weather breaks, and Red, you can clear your exhaustion.
Okay.
But when you arrive back at the ravine, the patrols have resumed. Are all 5 of you going in through the top like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We waited until the boss fight disappeared, just like in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Well, no, you've
Right?
done the opposite. You waited until more boss fights appeared.
Wow, damn it.
It went
I
from
don't
having...
remember that part of a Metal Gear game.
So, should we wait for night and try and sneak in? Because it seems like Adrex was able to get pretty close in the middle of the night. I certainly can't see that far in the dark.
Well, they seem to be more active at night, yeah.
Are you asking, or
I
are you
think-
making an observation?
Isn't that what Adrex came back and told us? That they seem more active during the night?
Well, he
So
only
it
got
seemed
it.
to me that
He only got to look down at the city during the night, and it was
During
active
the-
at that time. He did not
Yeah.
get a good look at the city during the daytime.
there's probably out patrols just 24 hours a day.
Right, but at least at night we'd be limited to they can't see outside the range of their dark vision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until the
So we
ciphers
can
show up and there are spotlights.
We can slip in after one of the trolls heads past that corner we want to sidle down from.
Okay.
Love sidling.
Okay, and you're going to slip down onto the roof of the barracks here?
Yep.
Okay. Somebody go ahead and eliminate 100 feet of rope. Unless you're going to do something about it. Or are you just leaving it dangle there?
Pretty sure Wendy was going to pull the pitten out after everybody else slid down. Mostly just not to leave the rope there forever.
I don't want someone to see the rope.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to climb down and then Wendy's going to go up and retrieve the rope. Is that correct?
I think
Well, I'm
Wendy's
just going to go down after them with the rope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's going to climb down while Wendy's at the top, and then Wendy's going to pull the pitten out and fly down.
So, like, everyone else is screwed if we need to leave here fast.
Let's get the athletic checks for everybody but Wendy.
Adric's like, this is bullshit.
This is where Birdie plummets to his death.
It's a 7.
7.
Theoretically good athletics.
13.
26.
I rolled a nat 20.
Okay. Wendy, you watch as Birdie, well, not watch, but Birdie and Adrex and Raazu start shimmying down this rope, and Red goes down last, and he's having great difficulty, and you've seen him have great difficulty on the journey here with this heavy spike that he's carrying, and how badly he fared in the storm. And as he gets about halfway down the rope, you realize he's not going to make it in time. By the time he gets to the bottom, the next patrol is going to come around the corner. If I stand here waiting for him to get down so I can take this rope down, I'm going to be spotted.
All right. So, how far down is he?
It's a good 100 feet down to the roof of this building.
And he's about halfway down?
He's about halfway down. Maybe a little more than 100 feet, actually. Let me double check that. I'm sorry, 150 feet. You guys probably had to tie 2 ropes together. And yeah, he's about halfway down.
I'm trying to think of the fastest way to get him down this.
Well,
Removing the spike would do it. That'd be pretty quick.
That was my plan when you said it was 100 feet.
I mean, 75 feet would still only be like 76, so...
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab what do I have in my pack? I have a cloth here. I'm going to grab a cloth with my pack. I'm going to run down the wall to Red, say, Red, the guards are coming. Hold this and slide down the rope.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give him one turn as I head back up to do that.
Now, there's no wall where he's descending. It's just he's descending into just open space above this roof.
Right. What I'm basically saying is to grip the rope and just slide down it rather than... what I want him to do is make an athletics check.
Right, I'll give you a strength saving throw to reduce the falling damage you'll take. But yeah, this is possible.
Is that against magical falling?
No, it's against just...
Destil.
I have to know, what's the difference between magical falling and regular falling?
I'm assuming what happens if you're in a field of reverse gravity.
Magical falling sparkles.
Okay.
There's a point where it becomes absurd, Destil.
So yeah, Destil's the one who's absurd. It's not the rest of you.
Listen, Destil being absurd...
You have 30
is the
keyboards.
No.
Red.
No.
No, he has 20 keyboards.
You loop this cloth
22.
around the rope, pull it taut, and kind of slide down. And it's difficult going. This is not how you were meaning to descend this rope. And you got what on the save? Or was it? I'm sorry.
16.
16.
Unless it's magical gravity.
No, it's not.
Well, we don't know how this plane works.
God damn it.
And you land on the roof amongst your companions with a hefty thud that might have been loud enough for somebody in the building to hear. But you don't sustain any damage. You just kind of
That's more what I was worried about.
get yourself up to your feet and dust it off. And Wendy's right behind you, carrying the rope. And anybody... You guys came down at night, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Anybody looking up through the hole can see the very faint glow of torchlight move past just a few seconds after Wendy lands on the roof with the rope.
So, question about my tether.
Mhm.
Is it actually like a string? Is there like... Or is it like going through like walls and stuff to make the shortest path possible?
It only comes about a foot off of your back and then it just kind of fades into invisibility, but it's definitely
Okay.
pointing in the direction of home.
Okay.
It's like a tail.
It's
So
like a tail coming out of the back of his neck.
Red is going to motion for everyone else to hold still and move as quietly as possible to this edge of the roof.
That is outside the wall.
There is a gentle slope
Mhm.
of the roof in each direction. It's not so sloped that it's difficult to move on, and it's actually not angled. It's like slatted tiles. So there's lots
Okay.
of places to put your feet. You're not in any danger of slipping and falling off this roof. So, you're directing people up this way?
Yeah.
Give me a perception check.
Couldn't have done that with the... That's probably better anyway. That would be a... 27.
27.
like that nat
As
20.
you're moving in that direction, you do hear voices behind you, maybe 50 or 60 feet away, down at ground level. And as you get your companions to this side of the roof, where this water flows underneath the wall, you do see a light glow coming up over top of the wall where you just abandoned ship.
Mhm.
If you were to hunker way down, they wouldn't be able to see you over the slope of the roof. But yeah, somebody definitely heard that thud. I should have prepared a tablet with the Metal Gear exclamation point sound effect.
Windy! Yeah. Can you shoot a part of the... Just put an arrow just at the edge of the cliff so that a rock falls where we were. Just take off a couple of inches of it.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
To be a very
try
difficult
and-
shot.
Try and angle it so that the arrow doesn't... The arrow goes through the rock and doesn't land there.
Uh-huh.
I need a percentile check, then I need it to hit roll, because this is well outside of the range of your billowing.
You think it's further than 6 feet away?
You do know it's somewhere above you, and there's a lot
But
of.
don't...
There's also a lot of roof.
Alright. Tens. Ones. 96.
96.
And... This seems important, so let's put some monk stank on this.
Okay. What the hell is monk stank?
Once we get into an actual fight, I'll go into greater detail.
Okay.
That's a 19.
19. You got to roll disadvantage because you are blind.
Right. That's what that monk stank is for.
It might even be outside of the range increment of your... No, not of your longbow, surely.
Still a 19.
Still 19? Okay. You loose an arrow, and you hear the snap of your bow, and it's... Considering you're down here trying to avoid notice, like, the snap of this bowstring might be the loudest thing you've ever heard in your life. For a moment, it's just the sound of the bowstring echoing in your heartbeat. And then you hear a clump of earth fall. Doesn't sound like it came from the direct position where you are, but you made a clump of earth fall somewhere on the other side of this roof. What's next?
Red just motions for everyone to stay still and quiet.
Okay.
So we don't see any source of that light shining up here.
You do see the light glow get slightly brighter as they looks like 2 purebloods have scaled the outside of this wall. They pull themselves up onto the roof. One of them is carrying a lantern, and he casts it around. Notices the clump of earth nearby. They go over to investigate. You watch one of them kind of just angrily kick it with his feet, and it goes scattering down the side. You see them casting glances back up at the top of the ravine. You hear an echoey, "Return to your positions." No, you hear that they exchange some words, but you can't hear what they're saying from this far away. And then they climb back down, away from you.
One on the left seemed angry. It's probably a shapeshifter.
Maybe he was just kicking it to test its consistency. He was just being analytical.
I don't want to hang out here for too long.
Let me go ahead and bring you guys up here and shrink you down. Oh, right, I deleted everybody off of this map.
You can't shrink me, I'm too powerful.
Raazu's a giant. Here,
Yeah, because you didn't delete me before.
can use those as initiative markers, because I'm sure that's a thing. You guys aren't actually this big in the world, but
What?
this will give me a sense of where everybody's located.
All right. I am going to find a window, get a good look, and listen to the purebloods here. Then I'm going to disguise myself.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and climb down this side as quietly as possible.
Before you climb down, make a perception check.
Yep. 10.
You don't notice any windows, as in you don't notice any light peering out from inside the structure looking down, but you become aware of arrow slits in the walls beneath you. There's one here, and there's one here beneath where Birdie is standing. Why is Wendy so much smaller than everybody else?
Wendy's as small as she can be without being small-sized.
Oh my god. So yeah, there's 2 arrow slits in the walls, in those positions. You don't hear any actual movement or sound beneath you, but you also become aware, peering over the side, that while many of the structures here are only 1 level above ground, this one is 2 levels. You're on the roof of a 2nd floor of the barracks.
Would a Malison and a pureblood typically have the same like linguistic traits, or would it be obvious? Like, would the time I spent talking with the white snake be enough that I would have picked up the quirks, in my opinion, of the local purebloods?
Probably not. But
That's what I
let's see
thought.
how your disguise kit check goes.
Okay.
That's an
Well,
intelligence.
so I have a class feature that lets me perfectly imitate speech of a region as long as I've listened to someone speaking for a minute.
Oh, then yeah, I'm gonna say you can do that.
Okay. For disguise kit,
Yeah, if you got a class feature.
is that intelligence?
Yeah, we'll call it intelligence disguise kit.
That's what I thought.
Proficient in being a stealthy bastard.
Yep.
So 16.
Okay. And yeah, you complete your disguise. You make the coloration of the scales visible around your face and neck to match, more closely match those of the swallowers who have very white coloration.
Mhm.
Are you keeping hold of this spike?
Yeah. The 2 that just came up here, were they dressed in a way that I would stand out in my clothing?
Not really.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that they've been having terrible storms lately, they both climbed up. They both have tight cloaks pulled over, so you couldn't really see most of what their dress had consisted of.
Okay. I've still got the heavy winter clothes from way back when, so that helps.
Yeah, it is quite cold.
Good Yuan-ti disguise red.
Yeah, then I'll shimmy down between arrow holes if there's enough handholds on this wall to do so.
Yeah, plenty. And you see that there's no difficulty at all climbing up or down climbing up or down these walls. And you drop
Is there
down to the
anybody
ground.
else down here?
No, you're outside of the wall here.
Mhm.
Off to your right, you see where this just burbling little creek comes from beneath the wall and then disappears into a hole in the side of this cliff. Just like the white snake described, it flows partially underneath their stairwell, leading up past the first floor of the barracks and then into a door into the south side of the second floor. The way that these stairs are positioned, there's enough space to easily stand on and cross to the other side of the water while still letting the water flow freely through there. It's a very curious logistical choice on the part of whoever built this place. Looking up at the cliff face, you do see pinpoints of light throughout some of these caverns, indicating that there are people home.
Out of character, did we decide what we're going to do once we got inside? Before we slid down here?
Well, like the only choices that our goals are, as far as we can tell, potentially in this building and this building. So we're on the right side of the building. Unless we have to, I say we don't even go down here at all.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
Well, unless someone has retroactively told Red not to, he is going to slip in here, guys, and just sort of wander around and eavesdrop for about 5 minutes.
I mean,
that
getting a
sounds
little
what I
good.
can learn.
sounds fine.
Before Red goes away, I'm going to put water breathing on everybody. Does Adrex have to breathe?
No.
Okay.
Spell
Put
says
it on
so.
him anyway. I'm suspicious.
Adrix does have to breathe.
Oh, I thought it was he didn't have to breathe, eat, or age.
It resembles his mortal form in almost every way, replicating his game statistics and possessions. So, one of Adrix's game statistics describes how many rounds he can survive underwater before suffocating. If
That checks
Adrix
out.
went underwater and drowned, he would eventually reach 0 hit points, in which case he would snap back to his body.
Oh, they mean the suspended animation version of you doesn't need to breathe. I get it.
That makes sense.
I don't even think I would be that friendly, but I don't think there's any chance of... I mean, Pran Pitwatcher might just get bored and drown him while he's gone. It's like... He's there the whole time, flicking his ears and poking him with a stick. Adrian
sounds
comes back
What's
with a
with you
bunch
and
of
ear
stuff
flicking?
stuffed up his nose.
So yeah, I'm gonna walk into this place. I'm gonna walk into this door like I own the place.
Like you own the place?
Yep.
That's not really pure blood.
No, they're a very humble race.
Like he belongs.
And you say you're gonna go in for about 5 minutes, get the lay of the land?
Yeah, eavesdrop, see what people are talking about, see if there's anything interesting going on, get a feel for how they, like if they move around in shifts or in pairs or what, like how the guards tend to move, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Make it look like I'm doing something.
What is the rest of the assembled company doing for this 5 minutes up on the roof?
I'm going to jump in the water and
Okay.
see if there is a way.
That's going to cause a splash right outside of an occupied building.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like doing a cannonball. Can I
Doesn't-
slip into the water quietly?
You can climb down the wall and then wade into the water, but if you jump off the roof into this water, whether you cannonball or not,
Right. Okay. So I'm going to climb down the roof and check the water to see if I want to see if there is how they've got this blocked off. Like, is there a grate or something underneath here?
there's not even a grate. It just looks like the water flows freely underneath the stone. Go ahead and make me an investigation check. But you put water breathing on everybody, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Adrix, roll a d20.
$19.
How'd that investigation
Nice. I don't know what I'm rolling.
What have you made? 2 rolls? That's the most you've ever gone without rolling a 1.
That's
Just
a 17.
go? A 17? Going down under the water. The water is very cold. Much colder than it was in the Warrens even, which does strike you as a little strange. It shouldn't be, if it's the same source of water creating all of these rivers interconnecting through the mountains, it should be all about the same temperature, but it's not. Looking down where the water's flowing underneath this stone staircase, you do see places where at one time, like there's an archway where an iron grate might have been fit, but the bars of such archway have all been removed. Now the water just flows freely. It really looks as though these Yuan-ti do not rely on these walls at all for protection. There's easily enough space for even Adrex to squeeze his way through one of these archways. And there's two large ones, one to the left and one to the right.
All right.
But if you go through here, you got to get interrupted halfway through, and I got to tell you all about Alaskan field mice.
Makes sense.
I mean, how do they taste?
That's the third Metal Gear. That's not what we're playing here. What are you doing? So yeah, Birdie climbs down the wall and slides into the water. What about the other three of you?
You give us a signal?
No signals happened yet.
I'm assuming there's no wind down here, so I can't see shit.
There is, because it's open to the sky up here. So I mean, yeah, you're in open air for purposes of like.
Then
you're
what I'm
outside.
gonna do is crawl over to the other side here and just kind of like stay near the edge of the wall, trying to get a sense for people walking by.
Okay.
Like at this point, I think we should just wait for Red to get back.
Yeah.
Like we have
Yeah.
we have a possible entryway through the water, and at this point now it's just let's stay out of trouble.
Red, make me a
Agreed.
charisma investigation check at advantage because of the quality of your disguise.
No, at advantage.
Oh, don't worry. Then charisma is better than it. So
He's a rogue. It still turns into like a 47.
this is still my best skill, and I'm using a high score. Still a 19.
God.
I'm sorry, 18.
Oh my god, I rolled a 2 that turned into a 19 the other day. And my DM
I don't have that
almost hit
feature
me.
yet. This would be a 20 something if I was a level higher.
Right. Red, move yourself to how far you want to travel away from the wall for now. Or are you going into
I
the
want to walk.
box?
I want to walk through the entire walk from one end to the other.
Okay. I did that thing where I prepared a dungeon map with blocked off spaces, but then forgot to save it.
Oh
So-
no.
For now, you're just going to have to listen to my description of this.
Yeah.
The doorway's not locked. There's nothing barring. Looking at the door, you see the stonework around it. Probably used to have a stone door on the outside, but it looks as though they fit it with a wooden one. And heading inside, you're greeted with the sounds of purebloods speaking all around you. And a few people cast glances in your direction as you enter. It is a strange network of rooms. Where you step in is kind of a small, not small, but an open area. Maybe about 25 feet to a side. Immediately to your left, when you enter, is another doorway just on the other side of the wall that looks identical to the one that you just came through.
Mm-hmm.
It's sitting open. The door is just open outward. You spend a couple minutes listening to just the conversation until you get enough of a feel to activate your class ability. You're pretty confident that you can just mimic their speech patterns and whatnot. They're not going to catch out your accent or think there's anything else strange about you. Moving forward about 40 feet or so, to your right, there's stairs down to the first level. And beyond that, it's a very kind of chaotic space. There doesn't seem to be a uniform size to the rooms. There's little side hallways that go off to a bunch of spaces. Another 40 feet ahead of the stairs that you saw are another set of stairs leading down to the first level. And this persists until you walk past that second set of stairs down a narrow hallway, maybe another 20 or 30 feet, with doors on either side and another door at the end. It looks like the purebloods here are off duty, and what they're discussing is you feel a lot of tension and disagreement amongst them. They're discussing what is to be done with the scientist Tatsushi. Some of the purebloods here have recently gone up into the lab that you guys, let's put this charitably, wrecked up to find out exactly what happened up there, what went wrong. Two purebloods were exposed to the smoke that you guys left standing in that room. One of them became very ill. One of them died before they got out of the lab. And this is cause for great alarm because the Yuan-ti are supposed to be immune to this kind to poisoning. You can't poison a Yuan-ti. One of the scientists did an autopsy. Remember, you guys have been gone for several weeks.
Yeah.
It took Adrex a long time to scout out and everything. They did an autopsy on the dead man and found that his insides had been eaten away as though by acid. There's a lot of questions in the city about what the hell was actually going on up there. They used some of their slaves that can breathe water to go down into the watery pits of the lab where they retrieved the dead body of this Hydroloth and dredged him back up. They saw the desecrated religious icons, and what you glean from this is that, as Whitesnake predicted, Tatsushi has been taken into custody and imprisoned. But these purebloods don't know exactly where.
I'm going to insert myself into one of the conversations, just sort of saying, so did any of his pureblood servants get interned as well? I'm not personally worried, just did they?
When they went to collect him, because his quarters are up here in the Malison quarters.
Mm-hmm.
When they went to collect him, he has 2 pureblood daughters who are very protective of their father, as well as a... Sorry, where's my notes at? Here it is. A large half-orc slave that he keeps as a manservant. An almost freakishly big half-orc.
Mm-hmm.
One of the daughters was slain when the matriarchs went in to take Tatsushi. They don't know what became of the other daughter or of the manservant.
I'll just sort of, kind of fade out of the conversation. Continue making my way over to the northern edge of this building.
Okay.
And is there a way to easily slip outside from here?
The hallway ends at a door, but this isn't an outside door. This would be going into a room.
From the layout and any of the open doors, would I have a guess at what any of this room is? But it seems like it's pretty chaotic, so probably not.
Probably living space for one of the purebloods on duty. What should I tell you based on that investigation check where I told you to roll an advantage and you rolled a 4 and a 5? I mean, it turned into a 19 still.
Yeah.
It sounds like the way this works is that a lot of these purebloods work on a rotational basis. They work down here inside of the walls, whatever tasks the matriarchs have for them.
Do I think any of the purebloods do what I used to do and are specialists in making poison?
You probably have to engage with them in conversation and ask about that specifically to find out.
Okay. I will do that then. I will find the nearest group that probably wouldn't be too suspicious to someone else just joining in a casual conversation and see if I can't work it into it.
Okay. Wendy.
Yeah.
Coming over to the edge of the building here. As you approach the edge, you become aware of a lot more movement down at ground level. And you can sense the entrance of this structure here. If you go all the way to the edge, you'd be easily spotted from the ground.
Right.
So how close are you getting in terms of feet?
Maybe about. It's sloped, right?
It's sloped, but it's not so sloped that you're in danger of sliding off.
Okay, yeah, maybe just 5 feet back.
5 feet back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't actually need to be standing up in order to see because I don't use my eyes.
Okay, make a hide check at disadvantage.
Uh-oh. 11.
This one really wanted to be a 1.
It really wanted to be a 1.
Okay.
It worked for it.
You're about 5 feet back from the ledge. You can hear voices of Yuan-ti speaking below, congregating around the outside of this building's entrance. And as you're here, you sniff something a little startling. It smells like smoke, and you realize there's a curl of smoke coming out through an arrow loop in the wall. It smells like somebody's smoking a pipe. And as soon as it catches your nose, you hear somebody from inside kind of say something startled that you don't understand.
Alright, I'm going to back the heck back. So wait. So they're at like a window?
An arrow loop would be kind of underneath you here. You smell the curl of smoke that was coming up. He's smoking at his... It's essentially window, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna back up and tell the others. It doesn't seem like they could possibly have seen me, but I think I might have been sensed or something. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, Birdie's underwater at this point. He's having him a swim. Are the rest of you staying up on the roof?
I think we should probably get down. At least.
Yeah, let's get
Wanna
off
go
the
hide?
roof. Yeah,
Want to go hide in the river?
Yeah.
not a bad idea.
Now, this river actually does flow into the side of this cave here, into just a kind of a hole in the mountain. Given that it's flowing, you're pretty sure it joins back up with the main structure of the river underneath. There's also very conveniently 5 feet of empty lockers right here.
Okay.
So if we go over there, we could get some rations.
Probably.
How many hit points did the rations recover? Are we talking D4, D8? What?
0. These are MGS3 rations. You need life
I
med.
thought we weren't playing that one.
I changed my mind. I'm all over the place. Birdie, are you
Where's
actually...
the Tsuchinoko?
Are you actually entering the...
Yeah, if we get the Tsuchinoko out of here, do we get the secret ending?
Birdie, are you actually entering underneath the wall, or are you coming back out to this side after you've scouted out?
I am just kind of staying down here, kind of at the base of the stairs, because I don't want to... Because we don't know where Red is. I don't want to, go somewhere where he won't know where we're at.
Okay. Make me a perception check, Birdie.
Oh, well, I'm really good at those. That is 28.
28. Going into the water here. The water is not particularly murky because it doesn't look like it's flowing through earth. It looks like these channels have been specifically carved out of the stone, like the bedrock here. So they're not murky, swampy, like you would expect from a creek, so much as they are like aqueducts. You're pretty sure they are fairly deep. Anybody who's specifically looking down into the water would be able to see somebody swimming down there, but providing you're not making a lot of ruckus down there, you might be able to slip by somebody unnoticed as well. And you're almost positive that hiding underneath the stone here, because the Yuan-ti can't breathe water, unless they're chasing you, that would be a good place to lose them. And this becomes very, very pertinent as Wendy comes back, and you're down below. She's up on the roof. You can hear her just barely whispering to her companions. And as you do, you hear this door open almost directly above your head, and some Yuan-ti voices come out.
Well, I will... Is Adrex down here with me?
Good question.
Yeah, I thought we were all getting off the roof, right?
We were going to until suddenly this door opened up. So
Yeah.
Okay, so
So then we're still on the roof.
Adrex is still up on the roof.
Yeah.
I'm going to duck underneath the.
Okay, so you swim up down underneath the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Raazu and Adrex, which of you has the higher passive perception?
Mine's 11.
the funny thing is, it's windy.
I mean, like they would be. Like,
Adrex is also 11.
Okay.
like I would signal at them. I wouldn't just duck down, but I wouldn't make. It would be a visual signal. It would not be a sound one.
Right, but they're watching as Wendy's coming across the roof. Neither of them were looking down at you a moment ago.
Right. So.
So staying on the roof or climbing down?
All right. Well, I think we get this info out. We hear they're probably coming to the roof. Let's climb down. Try to make our way, slip down here, away from the door and into the river.
Yeah, let me give
Makes
you guys
sense.
a better color here of water.
Yeah, that's
There
not a
you
bad
go.
idea.
Yeah.
Ah, blue.
You
The
like
color of water.
that? So you guys are going to shimmy down the roof real quick?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. And do what? Just hang out on the edge of the wall? Down into the
I
water?
think. Yeah,
I
I think
think
we
we're
need to go down into the water because we can
Yeah.
breathe
Into the
water. We
water.
can
Yep.
duck down.
The water flows away from the wall into this hole in the side of the cliff.